السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا ودليلا وعينا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله وسلم عليك يا ابن رسول الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ والتجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. It is Thursday night. We are fast approaching the eve of the 10th of Muharram. Let us salute our Imam from this land to the land of Karbala, and let us especially salute his brother, the hero of Karbala, Abul Fadl Abbas. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala أولاد جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين قالوا لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. Swear in your gathering with a remembrance upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. As a gift to the soul of the beloved mu'mineen, the beloved of Imam al-Hussein, beloved, the hero Abu al-Fadl Abbas, recite the second salawat. For Allah to shower upon this gathering with His infinite mercy and compassion, to hasten the reappearance of Sayyidina wa Mawlana Sahib al-Asri wal Zaman, recite the third salawat with the loudest of your voices. In the 60th year after Hijrah, Yazid ibn Muawiyah was announced as the Caliph after his father Muawiyah. And events quickly unfolded to his advantage. Many of the top companions remained silent and indifferent. However, Al-Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein began to mobilize, began to speak, and he was active every single day and every moment in order to create an uprising against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And in the very first initial step, Al-Imam al-Hussein wrote a letter, a very brief letter. However, this letter got to the point very quickly. And this letter was directed towards his own clan, his own family, his own tribe, Bani Hashim. The letter reads, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. من الحسين بن علي بن أبي طالب إلى بني هاشم. From Hussein, the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam, to Bani Hashim. أما بعد فمن لحق منكم بي استشهد. Whoever of you joins me will be martyred. ومن لم يلحق بنا لم يرى الفتح. And whoever chooses to abandon us, whoever chooses not to join us, will never see victory. And when he made his way towards the holy city of Mecca, he stood in the midst of all the people next to the Kaaba, and he gave a precise, very short, to the point sermon. The sermon has been narrated in all the books of history, where Imam al-Hussein stood and he said, خط الموت على بني آدم or على ولد آدم بخط القلادة على جيد الفتاة. Death is prescribed upon human beings, the children of Adam. Death is a must for every human being. And it presides and it sits on the neck of every human being, just like a necklace sits on the neck of a young woman. وَقَدْ خُيَّرَ لِي مَصْرَعٌ أَنَا لَاقِيهِ. And a fate has been designated for me, and I am approaching towards that fate. وَمَا أَشْوَقَنِي إِلَىٰ أَسْلَافِي اشْتِيَاقَ يُوسُفَ إِلَىٰ يَعْقُوبَ. And I yearn, my forefathers, just like Yaqub yearned for his son Yusuf alayhim as-salam. Then he says, فَكَأَنِّي بِأَوْصَالِي تُقَطُّعُهَا أَسْلَانِ الْفَلَوَاتِ بَيْنَ النَّوَاوِيسِ وَكَرْبَلَا. And I see myself, my intestines being ripped apart by the wild beasts, filling their bellies with my flesh. لا محيص عن يوم خط بالقلم. There is no escape from the fate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for us. There is no questioning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. Then he says, رضا الله رضانا أهل البيت. If Allah has pleased, then we are pleased. We do that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills for us to do. نصبر على بلائه فيؤجرنا أجر الصابرين. We are patient with what He has written for us, and He rewards us the reward of those who have sabr, steadfastness, patience and acceptance. And then He says, من كان بادلا فينا مهجته. Whoever decides to join us and sacrifice themselves for us. موطنا على لقاء الله نفسه. Whoever is determined to gift his soul and himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فليرحل معنا. Then let him join us. فإني راحل غدا إن شاء الله. For I will be departing tomorrow morning. And as he made his journey towards Karbala, he stationed in many different cities and villages. And in one of those stations, he saw in his dream his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, who told him, Ya Hussein, the angels have prepared the exact location in which you will be slain and you will be killed. And this is a destiny written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you. We will meet you soon, فَأَقْبِلْ إِلَيْنَا مُسْرِعًا, where we will meet you and greet you very quickly. Imam al-Hussein, he was in a nap. He woke up and he continuously stated, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. His eldest son, his beloved Ali al-Akbar, was next to him. He says to him, Ya Abatah, I see you distressed, O my father. What's happened? So Imam al-Hussein tells him of the dream that he saw, and he tells him of the news that was given to him by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Ali al-Akbar states, O father, alasna ala al-haq? Are we not on the side of haq? Are we not on the side of truth? Imam al-Hussein says, Qala bala, of course we're on the side of the truth. Ali al-Akbar then states, إِذَنْ لَا نُبَالِي وَقَعْنَا عَلَى الْمَوْتِ أَمْ وَقَعَ الْمَوْتُ عَلَيْنَا. Then we should not care if we approach death or death approaches us, as long as we're on the side of the truth. And it was in that moment where a man came and he stood in front of Imam al-Hussein and he says, Yabna Rasulullah, I come from Kufa, and I bear some news for you, Yabna Rasulullah. He says to him, tell me of the news. He says, when I left the city of Kufa, the body of Muslim ibn Aqil, beheaded, was being dragged in the streets. So Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi began to speak and inform and mobilize once more, even though this tragic news had reached him. And a few people gathered. It's mentioned in history, two narrators, they say we went to Imam al-Hussein. And it seems they were amongst the followers and the lovers of Imam al-Hussein. They were cousins. So Imam al-Hussein says to them, have you come to pledge your allegiance? To give us aid? And they said, Yabna Rasulullah, what good are we? One of them said, I am very old. The other one said, I have a lot of loans. We would not be able to join you, Yabna Rasulullah. So Imam al-Hussein says, go very far, go far away. For wallah, if a man hears our call, our plea and assistance, and sees us and does not aid us, welcomes the wrath of God within their lives. Since the beginning of the journey of Imam al-Hussein, brothers and sisters, the numbers were not very small. However, every time Imam al-Hussein sent a letter, Imam al-Hussein gave a sermon, Imam al-Hussein gave a speech, some bad news reached Imam al-Hussein, the numbers decreased and decreased and decreased until the eve of the 10th of Muharram. On the eve of the 10th of Muharram, it stated that 1,200 people surrounded Imam al-Hussein, and you all know that he gave a sermon. And he told them that you're free to go. If you would like to go, you're free to go. We will turn off the lights. It is dark, you may leave. And the number then dropped to 110. Some narrations say 72. What I'm trying to tell you, brothers and sisters, is people heard Imam al-Hussein. People read the letters of Imam al-Hussein. People saw that Yazid, the tyrant, is rising to power. However, they were indifferent, they were quiet. Some of them were probably thinking, what good am I? If all those people have turned against Imam al-Hussein, what's one person going to do? Some of them came to Imam al-Hussein, including on the 10th of Muharram and prior to the 10th of Muharram. And they said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, qulubuna ma'ak. Our hearts are with you, we love you. Wasyufuna alayk. However, our swords are drawn in your face. Some of them were thinking, I don't want to be the only one that speaks against Yazid. Some of them were saying, Ubaydullah bin Ziyad is offering big money to those who oppose Yazid. Why should I be the one that misses out on this big money? Some of them saw the masses, 30,000 people standing in front of Imam al-Hussein, and they thought, well, those numbers are big, so it should be okay. If everyone's acting a fool, it's either none of my business, or some of them decided to join. And this is an innate nature within the human personality. We have a nature to want to fit in, to want to blend in, not to miss out, to be accepted, to be popular. We tend to be quiet when everyone's quiet. We tend to be afraid when everyone's afraid. The law of conformity suggests that a part of our human nature, a part of our personality changes when we are in a group setting. We start behaving differently. We start speaking differently. Why? Because we don't want people to question us. What will they think of me? We want to make sure that we're accepted, we're popular. We'll do whatever it takes so that we can score points of popularity and work our way in the hierarchy in society. We begin to dress differently. We begin to speak differently. We begin to act differently, all out of fear of being rejected by society. And sometimes out of fear of being judged. A study indicates that they put a group of informed individuals about a specific issue. A few individuals within a large group, they told the large group, every one of you ought to give the wrong answer. You got to pretend. 100 people, 80 of you give the wrong answer. Now, knowing those 20 people know the truth. They have the right answer. And then they came to those 20 people and asked them the same questions. Knowingly, they gave the wrong answers. And the problem is not the fact that we are influenced by peer pressure. It's not the fact that we naturally as human beings want acceptance. The problem is that many of us deny this fact. Many of us believe that the way that I'm dressing is because I want to be happy. This is the way that I want to dress. The way that we speak, the way that we behave is all my own making. And we deny this fact. And all we need to do is ask a high school freshman about the law of conformity. They go into high school, it's the first day of high school, and they look around. Which group is the most popular group? Who's the most popular person? They look at the different haircuts, hairstyles, the way people are dressing, the way people are speaking, the way people are carrying themselves. And now here comes the challenge. How do I fit in? How do I become accepted? How do I make sure that I become amongst the popular kids? That is why, brothers and sisters, I believe that the most noble of us, the greatest of us, the most dedicated of us, are not the ones that have gone to Hajj and Ziyarah multiple times. It's not the Hajji 70 years old who's going to Ziyarah every year. He's a nobleman. It is not the Hajjiyah that, for example, is gone to Ziyarah 15 times. She's a noble woman. But the most noble of us are those sisters, those young sisters that end up going to high school in this country and still wear the hijab. Because we don't know how difficult it is. How difficult it is to go through this challenge while everyone is revealing and everyone's showing and everyone's speaking in different ways and everybody's following the latest trends and fashion. They get to choose to be strong enough to wear the hijab. And the most noble of us are those who join the 500 fortune companies. But when it comes to drinking and parties and engaging in those parties, they choose not to join. And they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate one that gives rizq. And they're not afraid and they're not pressured. Especially the sisters that wear the hijab. Some of us even feel pressure to change our names. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam states about Akhir zaman, the end of time, where things become extremely difficult, where it is very difficult to tolerate the situation, the downward pull when it comes to being a moral person. He says, سَيَأْتِي زَمَانٌ عَلَى أُمَّتِي. In this time, a person that wants to practice faith is like a person who holds on to a lit coal of fire. And this is what we see today. That people change their behaviors, change color, change the way they dress, change the way they speak, change the way they carry themselves, all due to conformity, acceptance. Just go on social, sometimes I get shocked. I am extremely shocked. I come across people, the first post is maybe an ayah from the Holy Quran. The second post is a rap song. It has nothing to do with morality or ethics or Islam. The third one is a TikTok trend. The fourth one is Jum'ah Mubarak. This person is clearly confused. Why are people so confused today? Why do we see this often happening? I'll tell you why. Because we as human beings, we have great fear from being disliked. We don't have the courage to be disliked. We cannot stand being disliked. We cannot stand being unpopular. And when it comes to the law of conformity, when it comes to peer pressure, when it comes to the pressure of society upon us, tonight I want to address 5 points. The first and foremost, brothers and sisters, is the constant need to fit in. The first thing that people do when they're in a group setting or a semi-group setting, or they're online, or they're trying to develop their brand online, else they'll try to cement their personality within this group. So the first thing that happens is actually we change the way we present ourselves immediately. And that comes with the way we dress, because the way we dress says a lot about us. That is why you find, for example, people at the mall, dressed in ways you question their sanity sometimes. This guy is pulling up his pants at every step that he takes. How is this attractive? Why are people emulating such behavior when it is so unattractive? Or you find that, for example, people tend to, some of our dear brothers, I'm not shaming them, some of our dear brothers tend to post shirtless pictures from the gym. Okay, we all know you work out, but you don't need to be posting such pictures online. I'm not saying this from an Islamic perspective. This is something private. If all your friends are posting, and now you see the urge, you find the urge that I have to prove that I'm also at the gym, I have to prove that I've been working out, I have to prove that I have a six-pack, I have to prove that I paid a couple of $1,000s for those tattoos. They'll go post pictures, shirtless pictures online. That is something private, that's your body. Or the downward pull towards our honorable young sisters. Yes, I agree, it's very difficult. When you find people barely dressed in your high school and your college and all over TikTok and all over social media, to cover and to be modest is going to be difficult. Therefore, sometimes they compromise their modesty, their iffah, their dignity, their honor, for the sake of validity, acceptance, popularity, to fit in. And allow me to say this, sometimes I see adults, brothers, sisters, married individuals with children that are meant to lead by example, also behaving in certain ways, posting pictures online that are extremely private. Why do we do this? We do this only for one reason, while we know it is wrong. While we know it's not going to bring us true happiness, for validation, external validation. Number two, in order for us to fit in, people begin to adopt ideas, values, and ideologies. Before going into high school, you did not have those ideologies. Before you went to college, you did not adopt such values. Today, you stand in their defense and you defend them firmly. Why? Because everybody else is telling me, oh, it's natural. Do you know what I mean? People today, and I'm sorry for addressing this, people today, young and old, smoking weed. Weed is haram. Weed is an intoxicant. Don't fool yourself. Some of the youth tell me, no, my friends told me it's halal. Since when is your friend a marja? Since when is your friend a hafidh of the Holy Quran, a faqih, a person that's supposed to give you fatwa? Just because everybody else in school is saying, oh, this is natural, it has no harm, it has great harm. It will destroy your life, it will ruin your life. But people changing their ideology just because they want to fit in. They want to be accepted and they don't want to be left out. More than wanting to be accepted, the problem is that people don't want to be left out. And social media is created as the greatest conformity engineer ever created by human beings. People sit there and they see young teenagers seeing hundreds, if not thousands of videos a day of what people are doing, what is accepted, what is desirable, what is fashionable, and next thing you know, they'll go and mimic it on TikTok. And some of it is risky behavior. Some of it is immoral. Some of it is unethical. Some of it is bullying. Some of it contains the most disgusting, inhumane lyrics. And they know it's wrong. Who doesn't know? You don't need to be a Muslim. You don't need to read the Quran to know that what is being said and what is being done is wrong. But today, every young boy wants to be Jake Paul. Why? Because there are high value individuals online, influencers, popular individuals that do things for the sake of prestige, involve themselves in risky behavior, and our children, our beloveds, our families fall victims and prey to that. Number two, the need to perform. When people are in a special setting, when people are trying to develop a brand, they'll perform. This is not the normal person's identity. This is not their identity. You better believe this is not them. They're performing. How do they perform? They exaggerate. Everything is exaggerated. Their lives are staged. And it's all under the illusion of brand management. And I remember not too long ago, I had gone somewhere on a vacation, and I was observing people. And it made me sad, because I saw people standing in one specific place and posing 15, 20 different poses to get one snap, to get one shot, to get one picture, while ignoring the beauty. The ocean, the greenery, the beautiful weather, the sunrise, the sunset. They're literally not focused on where they are. They've spent thousands of dollars to be there, but yet they're not enjoying it. It's all exaggerated. The smile exaggerated, the laugh is exaggerated, the romantic touching of her husband is exaggerated, the romantic, for example, hug between the couples is exaggerated. It's all staged, it's all exaggerated, it's all fake. Instead, enjoy your life. And that is why, brothers and sisters, when it comes to Ashura and the school of Ashura and the school of Imam al-Hussein, we honor a man by the name of Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Why do we honor him? I'm asking the younger brothers, why do we honor Hurr? We honor Hurr because he was a commander of 30,000 of those who wanted to fit in, those who wanted to be popular, those who wanted to be paid by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, those who did not want to speak against aggression because that was the unpopular thing to do. Hurr, though he was a very popular man, though he was a very strong lieutenant, he came forward to Imam al-Hussein and he jumped ship. And he said, and this is the sentence that makes Hurr who he is. Or else Imam al-Hussein has so many companions. Why does the name Hurr stand out? Because of this one sentence that he has, أُخَيِّرُ نَفْسِي بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. I see myself having to choose between heaven and hell, between God's salvation and damnation. And that's what we ought to do, brothers and sisters. When we feel pressured, the downward pull, when we feel it's very difficult for me to stand out, to be unpopular, we have to remember personality such as Hur, and we have to ask ourselves, أخير نفسي بين الجنة والنار. I have to ask myself, should I do that which is moral? Should I do that which is ethical? Should I do that which protects my dignity? Or should I do that which is popular but is immoral, unethical? 3, the law of conformity suggests that in such circumstances we put our guards down. And that is why today you find that there is a lot of rise in bullying. And sometimes we hear about bullying in school, middle school, high school, but the truth is there's bullying everywhere. There is bullying at college, there's bullying at school, there's bullying at work. Everywhere that you look, there's bullying on social media, there's bullying on TV. Only look at the trailers, don't waste your time. Look at the trailers of the top 10 most popular shows on Netflix or on TV or on Hulu or whatever it is. It all involves a form of bullying. People putting each other down. And I've been told by Muslim kids, those young, mashallah, beautiful kids that we have, sometimes they tell me that, Sayyid, some Muslim kids gang up on us with others and they bully us because of our identity, because of our name. Why? Because it's a popular thing to do. We put our guards down, we forget our moral compass, and we say to ourselves, if everybody's doing it, then it must make it okay. If everybody's quiet, then it must be okay. If everybody gets in trouble, if everybody's doing it, nobody's going to get in trouble. And I want to give you a story. We have one of our greatest maraja by the name of Ayatollah Burujurdi, rahimahullah. Tabatabai Burujurdi, who passed away many years ago. He went to Burujurd. Burujurd was a small village. And it is one of the most populated areas, a Jewish settlement in Iran. There's a lot of Jews there. So prior to the Ayatollah moving to Burujurd, people had a tendency, when there was a janazah of a Jewish person, when a Jewish person had passed away, they would trash the janazah of the Jewish person. This is a form of bullying. This is unacceptable. And when the Sayyid found out, you know what he did? He started attending and walking the entire path of the janazah of the Jewish community. So that if they end up throwing garbage and trash, they end up throwing it at the Sayyid. And they say he did that for an entire year until people quit. He could have chosen and said, what does that have to do with me? I'm an old man. I'm an Ayatollah, I'm a marja. Why should I be trying to fix this problem? But they say when he moved to Qom and he became the grand marja in Qom, the person who volunteered to construct one of the most important masjids in Qom, known as Masjid A'zam, was a Jewish engineer who came. He told the Sayyid, I'm going to do this free of charge. When you stand against bullying, when you do the right thing, Allah subhanahu, that is how you represent Islam. That is how you show Islam to the world, to the public. In the time of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, Muawiyah went after all the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen, bribing them. This tactic was used by Bani Umayyah, left, right, and center. So he would send a lot of gold, a lot of jewelry, a lot of silver to the top companions of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. And some of them accepted. Similarly, after Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, many of them accepted the bribes and they switched sides on Imam Hassan. One of them who received the bribe was a man by the name of Abu Aswad al-Du'ali. Who is Abu Aswad al-Du'ali? Abu Aswad al-Du'ali is the founder of the Arabic literature taught to him by Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi, the laws, the sarf and the nahu. Abu Aswad came to his home one day and he saw a huge basket, a container. He opened it, it was full of gold. And there was a note that this has been sent to you as a gift from Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, Muawiyah the generous, and gifts are not supposed to be refused. And there he also put a container of sweets and he said, this is for your children. So Abu Aswad al-Du'ali had a daughter, she was a young girl. Without knowing what is happening, the first thing that she did, she took one, she opened the wrapper and she started eating the sweets. Now this is a kid. What does a kid know? A kid is probably not going to get candy all the time, just like our kids get candy all the time. Back then, candy was not something that kids would probably experience for years. So she was enjoying this sweet, this candy, and Abu Aswad al-Du'ali told her, my beloved daughter, I know you're enjoying this candy, but do you know who sent this candy? She said, no, I don't. He said to her, this was sent to us by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan so that he can bribe your father to leave Amir al-Mu'mineen. Immediately this kid, it's very difficult to take candy from kids. This kid took out the candy. And she said, first it felt sweet, but now it feels bitter. While he could have accepted the money. Hundreds of thousands of golden coins equates to millions of dollars. Other people are doing it. You put your guards down just because other people are doing it. It makes it okay, accepts the money, gives the sweets and the candy to his kids, and goes about enjoying his life. Third, or fourth I should say, is hyper-certainty. When we are in such settings, when there's peer pressure, when there's conformity, we experience something called hyper-certainty. What do I mean by that? When we are at home and we're trying to make decisions, we're very rational. We think through, we do research, we ask questions, but let's say you're in a setting, you're in a group. You're a group of people, they're all talking about investments and money, and I'm buying this stock, and I'm buying this meme coin, I'm buying this stock, and everybody's becoming a millionaire, and this is the new trend on Reddit. That is the time where that judgment is neutralized, where you start questioning your own self. And then because those people are doing it, you experience something called hyper-certainty. It must be a good thing. And nobody wants to be the guy who didn't buy that stock. Nobody wants to be the guy who didn't buy that meme coin. Nobody wants to be the guy who didn't buy that cryptocurrency because everybody's becoming a millionaire. And this hyper-certainty has taken people to devastation. You know how many people have lost their whole life savings over cryptos and meme coins and stocks? I'm not saying don't buy meme coins. I'm not saying don't buy cryptos. I'm not saying don't invest. But when you feel that you're in a downward pull by your surroundings, step back, gauge yourself. Am I making the right decision? Have you spoken to a financial advisor? Same thing goes out to our children, our young ones, our teenagers. Just because everybody in high school is doing this, just because everybody is doing this TikTok trend, just because everybody's buying this, it doesn't make it okay. Don't experience that fake hyper-certainty that sometimes drags people to devastation. I know some youth, some good youth, that unfortunately ended up dead, getting caught in the wrong group with the wrong friends. Just a while back, the New York Times introduced a podcast about a young man, innocent young man. He went while his friends were fighting somebody else. And he happened to be there. They told him, hey, John, go get the gun from the car. Oh, you're already there. Those guys are troublemakers. If you don't get the gun, you're going to be fired. You're no longer their friend. You're no longer going to be somebody that is popular. So he says in the interview that I thought they're going to just scare those guys with the gun. I went, I got the gun, they shot those guys, and now I have to serve life in prison because I aided this murder. It takes 1 second of making a bad mistake. Being in the wrong crowd at the wrong time. And that last effect of peer pressure is the unspoken group rules. When you're a specific group, when you're in a specific cult, and you know for a fact that they're making certain mistakes, they're making bad decisions, they're defaming certain people, they're going after innocent people, or whatever it may be, then the unspoken rule is if you don't do the same or if you stand against us, you'll be fired. And the best way for cults to survive is not surrounding respect or love or forgiveness or harmony. The best way for cults to survive is when there is a common enemy. They create an enemy. You've got to hate somebody, hate something, and mobilize everyone around that hate. That's why when you see campaigns don't talk about, 10%, 20% of the time they talk about the good things that they're going to do. 80% of the time they scare you from this person, this bad, evil person. If you don't vote for me, this bad, evil person is going to end up the president, the governor, the mayor, or whatever it may be, the member of Congress. They mobilize people around hate, and I have seen time and over again, and you have seen. And every one of you have seen people hating on people they don't even know. They have no idea why they hate those people. This is the downward pull of what peer pressures can do, what conformity can do. Many Muslims have no idea who the Shia are. They have never read a Shia book. They have never attended a Shia majlis. Yet because many people believe that the Shia have a different Quran, and many people hate the Shia, then the Shia are my enemies as well. I'll hate them as well, no problem. I want to fit in. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to do the unpopular thing. And that is why you find that amongst the schools outside the school of Ahlul Bayt, you rarely find a scholar, a speaker. A scholar is meant to read the books. A scholar knows that Shia are not deviants. They're not innovators. They're not liars. But you rarely find them come out and speak the truth. Rarely. This is Jum'ah. Tomorrow, go to the Friday prayers. Open the Friday prayers from Mecca to Egypt to Tunisia to Morocco to anywhere. See if they say, we praise the Shia for the love for Imam al-Hussein, for their dedication to the Quran, for their dedication to receiving and engaging with knowledge in the first 10 days of Muharram. No. It's the exact opposite, because that's the popular thing to do. How do we combat conformity? How do we combat peer pressure, negative peer pressure? First of all, brothers and sisters, I have to say the only solution to combating conformity and peer pressure is confidence. Something that we barely work on when it comes to family members, especially our children. We teach them so many different things. We teach them, we send them to the best school, we buy them the best things, but we don't instill within them a true sense of confidence. That is why I was very adamant that the youth here have to lead. They have to sell, they have to speak, they have to organize, they have to take charge. Why? Because they're not only serving Islam, but you're instilling within them a sense of confidence that I can lead. And if that happens at a young age, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, confidence does the following. Number one, you don't care about external validity because you're a confident person. I don't care if, for example, I get 10 likes or 12 likes. Those people have confidence. Number two, it makes it easier for them to say no. With confidence, no problem. You say no, you don't feel guilty. With the noise and think, is this something good for me? Am I making the right decision here? Conformity is not always bad. Pure is bad. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter 5 of the Holy Quran states, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Come together. Persuade one another. Pressure one another. Speak to one another. Inform one another. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. And righteousness. And taqwa. And morality. And ethics come together. وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا. And do not unite. Do not pressure one another. وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. When it comes to immoral acts, when it comes to hatred, specifically hatred is mentioned in the Holy Quran. And this happened in the life of Rasulullah. Rasulullah, when he was returning from the battle of Uhud, Uhud gave a lot of casualties. And sometimes, at some point within Uhud, people thought Rasulullah had been killed. And they say that the shaitan raised a call in Uhud, Muhammadun qad mat, that Muhammad is dead. So many lost their confidence. A small group, a very small group, defended Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amongst them was Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. When they returned from Uhud, a messenger came to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, those people are fleeing but their numbers are small. We can take them. Another group came and said, no, they're pretending to flee, but there is a large group of people coming to you, to attack you, to annihilate you, and to kill Rasulullah. So this automatically created chaos. People were scared, people were afraid, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of that in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 173. Listen to this. Allah records this conversation of those who are confident. He says, الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسِ إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ. They came and they said, they're prepared. They're going to annihilate you. They're coming with the best. They had reserved all those weapons and all those men for now. They're coming after you, O Muslims, surrounding Rasulullah. A group of them, a small group surrounding Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. This is the effect it had on them. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. They had more faith. They had more iman. They became more steadfast. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا. And they said unanimously together in one voice, حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we do our part, and let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do the rest and defend us. And when you find yourself, brothers and sisters, whether it's your work, whether it's your business, whether it's your social media, whether it's your friends, whether it's your neighbors, whatever it may be at any given point that you are becoming weak and you're about to make the wrong decision, make sure that you utter the statement, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah will aid you. Allah will give you strength. And tonight we speak of a hero, a true hero, who resembled this resilience, who resembled this iman. He came to his brother Al-Imam Al-Hussein. As soon as Imam Al-Hussein looked at him, he knew what Abu al-Fadl is going to ask. So he says to him, Ya Abu al-Fadl. And he was known as Qamar Bani Hashim. Ya Abu al-Fadl, Anta sahibu liwa'i. You're the commander-in-chief of my army. How can I let you go? With you, the army will, without you, the army will collapse. So Abu al-Fadl Abbas says, Oh my brother Hussein, I cannot bear the cries of those children. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. I cannot continuously hear them crying for water. Imam al-Hussein says, إن كان ولا بد يا أبا الفضل فاركب واطلب لهؤلاء الأطفال شربة من الماء. If you insist, Ya Aba al-Fadl, then ride your horse and go and fetch them some water. And some of the traditions, including the traditions narrated by Shaykh al-Mufid, Imam al-Hussein also aided Aba al-Fadl in this task. They both went to the Euphrates. But he wanted to make sure that Aba al-Fadl is the one that gets inside the river and gets the water. Imam al-Hussein stood in front of the tents of the women and children, and he told them that the commander, Aba al-Fadl, the hero, Aba al-Fadl, the son of Haydar al-Karrar, Aba al-Fadl is going to get you water. So the children, of course, were very happy. They were very delighted. After 3 days of thirst, they're going to get water. And when he rode, Imam al-Hussein says, ride, may I be a sacrifice for you, my brother. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Aba al-Fadl Abbas made his way towards the Euphrates. And those individuals, the cowards, the army of Umar ibn Sa'd, they could not face Aba al-Fadl. They tried to face him, but they could not resist. They could not stop Aba al-Fadl, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, who resembled his father in his bravery towards going to the Euphrates. He went into the Euphrates. He went into the Euphrates and he put his hands within the water, a thirsty soldier. And his horse was thirsty, and he was about to drink. And he remembered the thirst of his brother Hussein, and he immediately put the water back into the river. Ya nafs, ya nafs, min ba'd al-Hussein huni wa ba'dahu ما كنت أن تكوني هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. He speaks to his own nafs, disciplines his own nafs. He says, how can Hussein be thirsty, oh my nafs, and you're about to enjoy water? No, 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 that's not how you are disciplined. Let us send our hearts, our souls, our minds to Ba'b al-Hawa'ij, to Kashif al-Karb an wajhi akhihi al-Hussein, to Aba al-Fadl al-Abbas, Saqi Atasha Karbala. Ya Kashif al-Karb an wajhi akhihi الحسين اكشف كربي بحق أخيك الحسين. Oh, the one that stood to remove calamities from his brother Hussein, I stand in front of you today to remove the calamities from me. And he is indeed Babul Hawa'ij. I want all of us to raise our voices in calling on to Aba al-Fadl, Ya Sayyidana wa Mawlana, Inna tawajjahna wastashfa'na wa tawassalna bika ila Allah wa qaddamnaka bayna yaday hajatina. All of you, brothers, sisters, men, women, Ya Sayyidana wa Mawlana, Inna توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. Every one of us, يا وجيها عند الله May he hear you tonight. May his nephew, he says, if the masa'ib of my uncle Abu al-Fadl are recited, Sahib al-Zaman says, then I pay a visit to that majalis. Ya Sahib al-Zaman, tonight we're going to be reciting the masa'ib of your beloved uncle, your Abu al-Fadl Abbas. Brothers and sisters, one more time. Ya wajihan. For those who want to be in Karbala this Arba'een, for those who want protection and when they're within their families, for those who want tawbah, for those who have ill ones, for those who have special hajat, all of us together for the last time. Ya wajihan 'inda Allah ish. When he put the water in that bucket, he sat on his horse and he saw that they're trying to approach him. So he raised his voice, the brave son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, إني أنا العباس أغدو بالسقام ولا أخاف الموت يوم الملتقى نفسي لنفس الطهر الوقاء. I am Abbas, the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. May I be a sacrifice for the son and the beloved of Al-Mustafa, Rasulullah. And he fought them while holding on to the bucket, but a mal'oon had ambushed behind a palm tree for Abu al-Fadl. And he struck the right arm of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. أين المنادي وعباسا وسيداه ومظلوما. All the brothers and sisters with Abbas. والله إن قطعتم يميني. All of us have those lines memorized by Abu al-Fadl. Raise your voice. والله إن قطعتم يميني إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. If you amputate my right hand, I will continue to stand in defense of the son of Fatima and the son of Ali, and I will continue to defend the true Imam. Another man had ambushed him from the left. He struck the left arm of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl is now putting the bucket in his teeth. He's trying to make his way to Imam al-Hussein so that he can quench the thirst of the children. Ya mu'mineen, a man came and put an arrow in the eyes of Abu al-Fadl. أين المنادي وعباساه ومظلوماه وسيداه. Another arrow landed in the bucket. Abu al-Fadl felt that the water is pouring. Then Umar ibn Sa'd says there is still life left in him. A man came with an iron pole and the mal'oon struck Abu al-Fadl on the back of his head. He fell from the horse without any hands to protect himself against the arrows in his eyes. When he collapsed for the very first time in his life, he raises his voice, Ya Akhah, Ya Aba Abdullah, alayka minni salam. Oh brother Hussein, for the very first time, oh brother Hussein, salam upon you. Imam al-Hussein rushed towards Abu al-Fadl, but all historians say that when he went towards Abu al-Fadl, he had his hand on his back and he kept saying, Akhi Abu al-Fadl, al-an al-kasara dhahri وقلت حيلتي، الآن شمت بي عدوي. أبا الفضل, you have broken my back. Aba al-Fadl, my enemies are rejoicing. He went to Aba al-Fadl. Aba al-Fadl could not see. He was taking the last breaths. Imam al-Hussein put his head in his lap. He says to him, oh man, you're holding on to my head. Before you amputate my head, allow me to converse with my brother Hussein, to give my salam to my brother Hussein. Imam al-Hussein says, Abqi Aba al-Fadl. Hussein, I am your beloved Hussein. Allow me to take you back to the tents. He says, oh, and I ask you in the name of your I ask you in the name of our father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, leave me here at the banks of the Euphrates. How can I go back to the women and children, to Ruqayya and Rabab and Sukayna, and see them and hear them calling Al-Atash, Al-Atash. He left him next to the banks of the Euphrates. And he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And his soul departed from the dunya. Ayna al-munadi wa Abbasa wa Abbasa وسيدا وغريبا ومظلوما. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. Brothers and sisters, raise your hands high to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the time of dua and we have plenty of hajats. Raise your hands, raise your hands. فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي. All of us together. وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي. فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي ولا تقطع من فضلك أملي ورجائي. 3 times. يا سريع الرضا يا سريع اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء. يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى. ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء. يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم. صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. الفاتحة مع الصلوات.